In this video, let's talk Chiefs versus Raiders on Monday Night Football, look at some standout plays, give a bit of an overview of the game, some things that the Chiefs need to work on, and then talk about the horrible officiating on both sides of the ball all game long and much freaking more. But first, how about those? What's up, guys? My name is Cole, and I do daily news about the Kansas City Chiefs, so make sure to sub if you're new, hit that like button, all that good stuff, and let's get into this video. Last night was a crazy game. It was the first time I went live and did a live play-by-play commentary reaction of the whole game. It was a lot of fun. I think I'm going to do that more in the future, so if you're interested in stuff like that, make sure to sub. I'll be doing that for every single game. Lots of fun, but it was a crazy game against a rival over the course of many years. Not much of a rival in recent history. Derek Carr is 1-8 against Patrick Mahomes, and Patrick Mahomes is basically a majority owner of the Chokeland Faders, so it's not much of a surprise that the Chiefs won last night, though it was a very close game. And to be clear, I predicted this to be a very close game. My score prediction was 31 Chiefs, 24 Raiders, and it ended up being whatever it was, 30-29. So a 1-point game, all because the Raiders decided to go for two instead of kick a field goal, which would have tied the game. It was a very odd ordeal, questionable play call, one of many that the Raiders made. The Chiefs made their fair share of questionable calls as well. Plus, the third team, the little Zebras, made their own share of interesting, suspect play calls on both sides of the ball, off and on, all game long. Let's talk game overview real quickly here. Darius Harris opened up with a great tackle on Josh Jacobs, and on the following play, helped make another tackle alongside George Karlaftis. Karlaftis got his first half sack in the NFL alongside fellow teammate Frank Clark. This resulted in a Raiders punt, and then both Orlando Brown Jr. and Andrew Wiley were beaten very badly on the Chiefs' first several offensive series, resulting in a quick 3-and-out, specifically on the first series. On the following drive, the Raiders were facing a 3rd and 13, getting 12, and then went for it on 4th and 1, in which Derek Carr threw, honestly, a dime to Davante Adams for a wide open touchdown. Talk about this play for a second here. Rashad Fenton got scorched like an egg on a 500-degree sidewalk. It was bad. Very bad. Davante Adams, obviously, is an elite wide receiver, garbage human being. We'll talk about him later. But Rashad Fenton, what is going on? Why is Spags repeatedly putting one-on-one players with Davante Adams, especially Rashad Fenton, who has been consistently struggling this year in particular? Anyway, moving on, that was a TD on a 4th and 1, like a 55 or 60-yard bomb. Rashad Fenton beat. Great play call by the Chokeland Faders. They actually lined up like they were going to run. It was a play action pass. There was more than one guy open on that play. Great play by the Raiders. Next series, MVS had a great first down catch on the following drive for 12 yards. He seems to be getting more in sync, in rhythm with Mahomes, which you love to see. Mahomes was blitzed on a key 3rd down on that drive and had to throw the ball away. And then kicker Matt Wright missed the 3-point attempt. Not his first miss in the game. We'll talk more about that later, but he also bounced a PAT off the crossbar. He was looking shaky, to say the least, but came in clutch a little bit later. Colin Saunders had a great tackle on Jacobs and Frank Clark as well a few plays later for a 5-yard loss, which was nice, but it mattered not because on this drive, the Chiefs had 2 big pass interference calls on Davante Adams, one on Rashad Fenton, who we've been talking about, who for some reason was left one-on-one with Adams, and one on Jalen Watson, which put the Raiders on the goal line and therefore a touchdown. Now to talk real quick here about the 2 pass interference calls on Jalen Watson and Rashad Fenton, they both were because Derek Carr underthrew his passes. So because Derek Carr, at least in these examples, was inaccurate with his passes, it actually went in favor of the Raiders both times because Davante Adams had to reach back, cut back to try to make a play on the ball. And again, it is pass interference. I think the second one on Jalen Watson was a little bit soft, but I understand why they called it. Interesting thing that happened on that play, though, Davante Adams actually wrapped his arms around Jalen Watson's neck and slammed him to the ground. I can't share it. It'll get demonetized, but I did share it on my Twitter if you want to check it out. It was a pretty dirty play, to say the least. Davante Adams is a dirty, garbage human being. At least That's how he acted last night. And at this point in the game, the Raiders were winning at the line on both sides of the ball. Their O-line was dominating as well as their D-line. To add to my point here, the Chiefs went 3 and out on that next drive in which Orlando Brown Jr. got beat once again on a key third down by Chandler Jones. Mahomes dodged the sack. He's pretty good at doing that, but had to throw the ball away, and the Chiefs punted. Justin Reed on the following drive had a key tackle on Jacobs, saving a TD as he was the last guy there. No business decisions were being made for Justin Reed in this game. He was making tackles after tackle after tackle, and he's been doing that all season long. He got shaken up a couple times this season because he hits people that freaking hard. You love to see it. And then Nick Bolton once again came up huge on a third down, preventing the first down, and the Raiders decided to kick a field goal rather than go for it. Man, Nick Bolton is a freaking stud. Juju had a bad drop on a pass that next drive that should have easily been caught, but MVS came in clutch on the next play. It was a 3rd and 10. He caught a 15-yard pass. The very next play, though, Mahomes was sacked by Max Crosby, who was eating Andrew Wiley alive. This was now a 2nd and 17, Chiefs trailing by 17, and something desperately needed to happen to build confidence and start to swing the momentum from the Raiders to the Chiefs. Well, have no fear, because Jerick McKinnon is here. He got a draw play up the middle and broke multiple tackles for a 30-yard or so run. This breathed a wee bit of life into the offense, and Andy Reid was like, that works, so let's try that again. McKinnon got the ball on 2 more plays after that consecutively, ran once for 9 yards, and then another 1 or 2 yard run for a first down, which then resulted shortly after that in a Travis Kelce TD, his first of 4. The next drive, Nick Bolton had yet another huge tackle, making things 3rd and 8 with about a minute left in the half. And the next play, we know what freaking happens. Chris Jones comes up from behind, takes the ball out of Derek Carr's hand like a little baby, and on his way down, ball in one hand, left hand goes down to try to brace the impact a little bit, and he basically scoots up off the ground and starts returning that strip sack for a TD. The play was blown dead, and it was ruled to be personal foul, roughing the passer. Basically, the crowd went absolutely bananas. We're screaming BS, we're screaming ref, you suck, we're booing for basically on and off the rest of the game. It was a pretty crazy call in which instead of the Raiders it was a turnover strip sack, the Raiders actually then got a first down, and they drove down the field to get a field goal out of that play, making it 7-20. So with 17 seconds on the clock, the Chiefs were actually able to move up the field enough for Matt Wright to kick a franchise record long and career long 59-yard field goal. Harrison Butker and another kicker, I can't remember off the top of my head, they both had kicked 58-yarders. But Matt Wright, who had been shaky a couple times before this and after, later in the game, nails a 59-yarder. It was a great response, making it 10-20, Raiders winning at halftime. So the Chiefs get the ball to start the half and convert a huge 3rd and 8, which was a catch by MVS for a good 20 yards or so. Juju a couple plays later had a big first down catch, and then Kelce again with another touchdown. Matt Wright made the PAT by bouncing the ball off the upright. The Raiders then find themselves backed up in their own end zone after an offensive PI, the crowd causing a delay of game because the center couldn't hear Carr asking, yelling, clapping, twerking for the ball, and then Carr had an egregious intentional grounding throw to Casper the Friendly Ghost. Nobody was there. It was very odd. Anyway, the Raiders had to punt, and the Chiefs responded by driving up the field with Mecole Hardman catching a 28-yard pass on 3rd and 8, moving the chains. Shout out to the O-line on this play, and honestly, moving forward, off and on, mainly on for the rest of the second half, because Mahomes started to get actual time in the pocket to make things happen. I think the Chiefs made some good halftime adjustments in the locker room, so I like that. Mahomes was able to go through his reads and get the ball out with really any pressure at all, specifically on that play and others in the second half. The drive then ended with a, what do you know, touchdown by tight end Travis Kelce, his 3rd of the night. Darius Harris had a massive sack on the next drive, the first of his career. Incredible speed and awareness by Harris there. The Raiders did manage a field goal, but the Chiefs once again drive down the field and make things happen. MVS had a solid contested catch on a great route, and on 3rd and 15, Mahomes steps up into the pocket for a huge 36-yard catch by Mecole Hardman, in which he appeared to re-aggravate that heel injury once again, but that was the second big catch by Mecole Hardman on a key, crucial 3rd down situation. Hats off tip of the cap, whatever the saying is, to Mecole Hardman. He came in clutch in this game, certainly. The Chiefs were forced to kick a field goal on this drive, in which Matt Wright actually missed. But wait, defensive holding on the play changes things here, so instead of a missed field goal and Raiders ball, it results in a Chiefs TD, as the Chiefs then drove down the field for a fourth TD by Travis freaking Kelce. Now, some people want to say the defensive holding penalty on that field goal was a bit soft, and after watching it, I agree. I don't actually know that that defensive holding call should have been there, but there was a lot of calls on both sides of the field all game long that were missed, that shouldn't have been there, that were soft. I mean, the officiating was a mess. This is the first time I can recall the Chiefs winning a game, and I'm actually more furious about the calls that the refs made than I am happy about the win. It was that bad all game long. Now, back to the game. After that TD, the Chiefs decided to go for two, and upon rewatching the game this morning, which is why my video is a little late today, I rewatched it all. Mahomes was the one who wanted to go for two here. He runs over saying 2-2-2. The result of the play, though, was a batted down pass, so instead of being up by 9, the Chiefs failed to convert and were up by 7. 1 touchdown and a PAT. On the very next drive, it was 3rd and 6, and Derek Carr completed a 50-something yard bomb to Davante Adams, once again, who not only beat Jalen Watson off the line, but also rookie safety Brian Cook, who was supposed to be Watson's help. Overall, a poor play by Cook, nice throw by Carr, questionable decision by Spags. Justin Reed was in there, but he was in coverage much closer to the line of scrimmage. Why would you put two rookies in coverage on Davante Adams? What are we doing here, Spags? I'm a bit confused by some of these play calls, including the one that even happened at the end of the game in which Joshua Williams was actually left one-on-one with Davante Adams. I'm not super happy, honestly, with Spags. It's not all on Spags. Some of it's on the players. But, dude, Spags has to put these guys in better positions here, man. It's getting crazy. At least last night in particular seemed a little bit crazy to me, and I definitely feel like Spags needs a little bit of heat for how he coached this game on the defensive side of the ball. Anyway, the Raiders could have kicked a field goal to tie the game, but instead, they decide to go for the 2-point conversion, not converting. It was a run stop at the line. And so instead of tying the game, they are now down by 1 point. Sky Moore got involved on the next drive, catching a couple quick passes, which was cool to see. Sky Moore getting worked in, and I hope to see it more. And then on a key 3rd and 3, Mahomes opted to take a deeper shot to Mecole Hardman, who did beat his man on his route, but Mahomes overthrew him. MVS was open as well. For what it looked like on the broadcast view, it was a shorter route, but it would have been a first down. But instead, Mahomes opted to go for the kill shot, overthrew Mecole Hardman, and they had to punt the ball. This was with like 2 minutes and, 40-ish something seconds left in the game. The Raiders had a couple timeouts, maybe even all 3, and the 2-minute warning, and the Chiefs were only up by 1. So, very decision there, but alas, the Raider, Derek Carr folds like a $5 chair from Walmart per usual. He cannot get the job done. Now, he does have a lot of fourth quarter comebacks. I think he's tied for like 4th most or something like that, but he can't get it done, dude, against the Chiefs. He's 1-8. Against them in his career. And basically what happened here is the Raiders were able to drive up the field with multiple nice runs by Josh Jacobs. That never stops. Josh Jacobs had a field day against the Chiefs and basically did whatever he wanted. But on a 4th and 1 with the game on the line, Carr was stepping back. Nick Bolton was getting pressure in his face, so Carr kind of had to throw off of his back foot. With Nick Bolton shoving him to the ground, he tosses it up, in which you have on the left side, you have Hunter Renfrow in coverage by, I can't remember, maybe Juan Thornhill. I don't honestly remember, but then you had Davante Adams right next to Hunter Renfrow on the sideline, one-on-one against rookie corner Joshua Williams, who came in for a Rashad Fenton who was dealing with cramps, probably from getting scorched all game long. But I digress about that. Anyway, what happened was Davante Adams got pressed at the line, and Joshua Williams actually forced Adams inside a little bit on his route, and Hunter Renfrow was running like an out route while Davante was running a post. Well, because of the press that Joshua Williams was able to get on Davante Adams at the line of scrimmage, Hunter Renfrow turned and ran right into Davante Adams. They both fall down at the ground, and the ball goes sailing away, far, far away, incomplete, game over, Chiefs win. They wanted a penalty on that play, but there was none because the receivers literally ran into each other. Davante Adams was pissed. Not only did he throw his helmet down after that, but when he was walking out of the stadium, a crew member who was running sound of some sort crossed in front of Davante Adams with the C-stand. It's a stand that you use to put a mic on if you don't know what a C-stand is. It's a videographer term, but he crossed in front of Davante Adams, and Davante Adams definitely did walk a little bit in front of Davante after I watched the angles a lot more. But dude, Davante did not have to do what he did. He shoved this kid over, and the kid went like about 5 feet and fell over, man. So Davante apologized in his presser, and then he apologized on Twitter and said, "I hope you see this. I'm sorry for shoving you over. I was frustrated." But bro, that's unacceptable, man. You're a professional getting paid millions and millions and millions of dollars. Remember, you went from one Hall of Fame QB to another. You are first off delusional to compare Derek Carr to Aaron Rodgers. No idea what you're thinking there, but dude, what are you doing? What are you thinking? Multiple questionable things happen there with Davante Adams, including the play where he wraps his arms around Jalen Watson and slams him to the ground. Now, I know I'm going to have Raiders fans coming in here and talking smack, but dude, I agree with you guys. The play calling was horrendous. I just think it was horrendous on both sides of the ball pretty much all game long. I'm pretty pissed off, actually, about the play calling, and the Chiefs won. I'm not even really happy about the win. Like, yeah, I always like beating the Raiders. That's great. But dude, I feel like there is a lack of transparency, accountability, and consistency around the league, and it's just very frustrating. I might do my own video on that, but let's talk injuries here because there were actually quite a bit here for the Chiefs. Tershawn Wharton early in the game tore his ACL in his left knee. Brian Cook got a concussion. I can't confirm, but I think it was on the play when he was in coverage with Jalen Watson on Davante Adams when he scored that TD. I watched Brian Cook's head bounce off the ground. So that's my assumption there. It was on that play, but can't confirm that. Frank Clark was sick and did not return after halftime. I don't know if it's his stomach issues or what was going on, but he looked good in the first half and just didn't come out and play again. So not sure what was going on there. Kind of disappointing, to be honest, but hopefully he gets well soon. Chris Lamons hurt his right hip and came out of the game. Fenton had cramps and came out of the game. And then on the Raiders side, this was a big blow to the Raiders, to be honest. Tight end Darren Waller left the game in the first quarter with a hamstring injury and never returned. So they had one tight end the whole game, and they were without their star tight end, Darren Waller. Pretty big injury bummer for the Raiders, to be honest, because he is definitely a weapon and a target for Derek Carr. Now, some interesting stats for this game. Patrick Mahomes is 11-5 when his team trails by double digits regular season and playoffs over the last 4 seasons. No other QB has more than 7. Both of them, Tom Brady and Ryan Tannehill, have losing records. The Chiefs are the best in the red zone at scoring TDs, and that's the best in the entire NFL, which is a pretty cool stat. Patrick Mahomes is now 23-3 in his career against the AFC West, and that is the most wins in the first 25 divisional starts since the merger in 1970. Another stat, this is the Chiefs starting off slow, and why, in my opinion, you have to play a solid 4 quarters of football. Yes, the Raiders, they were up ahead 17-0 in the second quarter, but you have to play a solid 4 quarters. The Raiders have done this. They blew a huge lead to the Cardinals, ended up losing in overtime in a Raider fashion when Hunter Renfrow fumbled the ball and the Cardinals picked it up and returned it for a TD. So you have to play a solid 4 quarters, and the Chiefs started out slow but finished strong. They started out 0-3 on third down conversions, for example, and they finished 7 for 9 on third downs. Another cool stat here with Kelce's 4 TDs last night. It's a franchise-tying record for most TDs in a game by a tight end, and I believe it's the most touchdowns ever scored by one person on Monday Night Football ever. So hats off to Travis Kelce, hats off to Patrick Mahomes, getting it done. Hats off to Jerick McKinnon for making it happen. Hats off to Nick Bolton, who was there for play after play after play. Hats off to McCole Hardman for helping convert those 2 big third down conversions, even when you could tell his heel was still bothering him. A couple more thoughts for post-game. Rashad Fenton may be in the hot seat when Trent McDuffie comes back. It's been rough for him. I know he had off-season shoulder surgery, and he came back late, I think in training camp. So he's still rusty, but dude, he's he's struggling, man. Multiple pass interference calls on him. He's gotten beat multiple times, multiple missed tackles. So when Trent McDuffie comes back, we could very well, if not right away, soon after, we could see it looking like this. L'Jarius Sneed, who is a stud, hats off to that man. Please extend him and pay that man money. Cornerback 2, Trent McDuffie. Cornerback 3 may very well indeed be Jalen Watson, with Rashad Fenton finding himself in the cornerback 4 slot. We'll see. Time will tell there, but man, Fenton had a really rough game. I will say this, hats off to the Raiders, specifically Max Crosby. He's the real deal. I also want to say, I think Derek Carr played a very good game, probably one of the best games I've seen him play. They looked very complete on all sides of the ball, but you have to play solid against the Chiefs all 4 quarters, or you're going to lose. Questionable decision there by their coach to not kick a PAT to tie the game, instead trying to go for 2. 1-4 are the Raiders, 4-1 are the Chiefs. The Raiders' playoff chances are basically very, very slim. Very slim. They are now 1-2 also in the division as far as wins. They lost against the Chargers. They beat the Broncos, lost against the Chiefs. So very tough road for the Raiders. The Chiefs, meanwhile, it's a nice 4-1, but we play Buffalo next week, so we got to get ready. This game is going to be freaking hard. And yeah, if we don't come and play lights out on all 3 sides of the ball, and if we have a slow start like we did against the Raiders, the Chiefs are not winning that game, y'all. The Chiefs, you can't go down 17 points against Josh Allen. Josh Allen is not Derek Carr. There's levels to this game, and Derek Carr is here. Josh Allen is here. Now, while I would put Patrick Mahomes above Josh Allen, you can't do that. So the Chiefs got to come out firing on all cylinders. A couple more thoughts here. People kept asking me in the chat last night, where was Pacheco? Where was Pacheco? Well, when you have Jerick McKinnon with a hot hand, you keep feeding that man the ball. Basically, if they're not ahead by a lot, Pacheco's not going to see a lot of reps right now. Now, would you like to see him get some more reps over CEH? Yeah, possibly. CEH had a couple nice plays out of the backfield, but then a couple questionable plays here recently. Last week, that 4th and 1, where he dropped the pass, and then there was a play last night, he was open and got hit literally in the back of the helmet. He got hit right here. It was a definite miscue by CH, which you do hate to see. He's had a solid season, so I think they're going to continue giving CH the nod right now. Pacheco's going to get slowly worked in like Sky Moore. Why? I don't know. That's just how the Chiefs work, but that's kind of where Pacheco was. When you're on, a lot of 3rd down plays, that's McKinnon who goes in there most times, and he does a very good job as the 3rd down back. I will say this too, Mahomes missed several deep passes last night, and it's not just a last night thing, it is a trend that is continuing over the past few games. He's missed on several deep passes, actually, even though I don't know the stat off the top of my head, but they have multiple plays over 20, 25 yards that have happened, but Mahomes has still missed on a bunch of connections. He's missed several times with McCole. He was off with Juju a couple times last night. MVS had a drop. So the receiving core just needs to continue getting into a rhythm. Again, it's basically a brand new receiving core, and Mahomes needs to keep developing trust with these guys. But MVS had a great night. As far as game stats, man, Patrick Mahomes, 29 for 43, 292 yards, 4 TDs. He did get sacked 3 times for 27 yards, which says a lot if Patrick Mahomes is sacked 3 times in a game, because that means he probably, if he was Matt Ryan, would have been sacked 14 to 16 times. So 3 sacks. It was looking rough at first. As far as rushing, Jerick McKinnon led the way, 8 carries, 53 yards, 6.6 yard average with that 30-yard long run on a 2nd and 17 to really swing momentum or start to swing it in the Chiefs' direction. Patrick Mahomes had some key scrambles, 4 for 28 yards with a 16-yard long run, which you did like to see. I'm just glad he's sliding and not taking hits. CEH, 9 carries, 15 yards. McCole Hardman, 1 for 7. Isaiah Pacheco, 1 for nothing. As far as receiving goes, MVS had 6 receptions for 90 yards. That's a 15-yard per catch average, with his longest being a 23-yarder. McCole Hardman was next, 4 receptions for 73 yards. Juju Smith-Schuster, 3 for 33. Kelce, 7 receptions for 25 yards. That's a 3.6 yard per catch average, but homie had 4 TDs. Don't quote me here, but I don't know if there's ever been a stat like this where a receiver or tight end has 4 TDs on the night and 25 yards or less. That is a crazy stat. And on top of Jerick McKinnon doing well on the ground, 8 carries for 53 yards, he had 2 in the air for 19, which was great. Sky Moore had a couple. And then as far as tackles on the defense, Darius Harris led the team in tackles. Nick Bolton had 9. Darius Harris had 10. But dude, Nick Bolton was making play after play after play. Darius Harris had a couple decent plays, including a big sack on Derek Carr, his first of his career. Snead was there. Justin Reed only had 4 tackles, but all 4 of them were super solid. A couple of them saved a TD. So hats off to Justin Reed, Snead, Bolton, Harris. Frank Clark had a tackle for loss and a half sack with the rookie George Karlaftis. I saw Colin Saunders in there making some nice plays every now and again as well. And then shout out to Matthew Wright for the 59-yard bomb of a field goal. I can't wait for Harrison Butker to be back because Matt Wright was shaky. He actually missed 2 field goals in this game, and he almost missed a PAT that bounced off the crossbar. So not looking the best there for whatever reason, but shout out to him for the 59-yard field goal. Now, some things that the Chiefs could work on. The Raiders had 155 yards rushing. Josh Jacobs had an absolute heyday and did what he pleased. The average yards per play for the Raiders was 6.8. The Chiefs was only 5.3. The Raiders had 378 total yards, which was actually 10 more than the Chiefs. The Raiders moved the ball really, really well. And the Chiefs could definitely work on stopping the run a bit better. And Spags could do a better job of not putting his men repeatedly out there on islands, especially against Davante Adams and players like that. Do we think Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills are not going to take advantage of the Chiefs next week if Spags does that? Do you think Diggs is not going to have a heyday? What about Davis? I mean, they're going to go off. So we got to figure that out. Hopefully they adjust and make plans accordingly because it's going to be a rough one next week if they come out looking like that. Now, the Raiders are a better running team than the Bills, but they have Josh Allen as QB who can run himself as well. So definitely need to work on that for next week. But overall, a win is a win. So I don't want to sound ungrateful for the win because I really am. Anyway, let me know your thoughts on the game. Who were standout players to you? What do the Chiefs need to do better? Getting ready for next week against the Buffalo Bills. What are some things that can be worked on? And what were you happy with? I mean, Travis Kelce, he's covered every play except for the red zone, dude. People just somehow forget about him. He is amazing. He is incredible. Very lucky to have him on the team. But yeah, definitely let me know your thoughts on all of this down below, and we'll fight about it down in the comments per usual. Trust me, we will. Make sure to sub and like if you haven't already, and check out this video here, which is a play-by-play live reaction I did last night. Go to the near halftime mark if you can when the Chris Jones penalty happened to watch my reaction live. It's pretty interesting, to say the least. And until next time, let's go. Let's freaking go. How about those?